Hello, this is a new episode of the Dan Wootton Interview, a new name for our Bizarre Life podcast with some great new features, so please make sure you subscribe right now. Now, each week I'll be bringing you some of the biggest names from around the world straight to your headphones, opening up about their life in emotional, hilarious, and revealing detail. Today's guest is the rising music superstar Camila Cabello. I caught up with the former Fifth Harmony member to talk about going solo, that VMA moment, and whether she's found love. Plus, she takes on the 5, Is This Your Life, and my brand new segment, Turn Around. So stick around later too, because I'll have all of your comments about some of your favourite guests from last series. But right now, let's go in-depth and personal with Camila Cabello. Camila, welcome to my pod.
Oh, Dan! I love your pod. It's cozy in here.
I'm so desperate to have had you here for such a long time. It feels like such a long time ago now that we met, actually.
How long ago was that? I remember it so clearly because I remember trying to take a picture of the Big Ben.
Yeah, because we were riding down the River Thames.
Didn't we have to go around again?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I remember that.
We did.
I remember that.
And you were a mere teenager, Camila, and a member of Fifth Harmony.
Yep.
And now you are one of the biggest solo music stars on the planet.
Thanks. And I'm a woman now. Yeah. I'm 21 soon.
21, very soon.
Oh my God, it's our birthdays soon.
Yes, because your birthday is just a day after mine, so we are Pisces.
Yep.
But in all seriousness, Camila, and I know you're probably not going to believe me when I say this, but I'm not the only one who has said this. But having met the group, as I did back then, I always had a feeling that you did have something special to offer the music world. And I remember you sent me a DM afterwards, and I just thought, wow, this is someone who's incredibly young, but has a huge amount of ambition, grace. You're nice to everyone around you.
Oh, thanks.
And also incredibly talented as well. But I guess at that point, you're just living the teenage dream as a member of a girl group, presumably.
Right. At that point, I was just trying to, get rid of my acne. And I think that was when our album was released, right?
I think it was literally your first trip to the UK.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, that whole time was such a blur. I mean, I wish sometimes that there was just that your brain recorded like a film, right? And you could just look back on it after. Because I find that a lot of the times, so many things go on that sometimes it's hard to remember.
Yeah, and and you know what? Actually, that's really tough if you're in a girl group or a boy band as a teenager. Because I've spoken to many of the members of One Direction on this podcast about exactly that. Actually, the sort of intense pressure when you are in that bubble.
Super intense.
Means you don't always actually get to enjoy the things that you're living and doing,
Yeah, absolutely. Because the thing is that everybody has to be kind of on the same vibe. And it is a lot of intense pressure, especially because, I guess what we have in common, with the One Direction boys is we all started super young. I think we were even younger.
Because you were 15 when you auditioned for the X Factor.
Yeah, I was 15. I think what we have in common is we were all really young and we had no experience in the music industry.
And also you didn't know each other. You were put together in a band.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's all these new experiences that a lot of us weren't even mentally trained for. Because a lot of kids are groomed from when they're 3 years old and they're taking singing lessons and acting lessons and doing auditions and whatever. So when you're 15 and you were just, singing in your bedroom and then all of a sudden your stage is the entire world, it can be a lot to handle. But I remember it being a lot of intense pressure and a lot of just not knowing what was going on. But then also a lot of really, really amazing, beautiful times that made me just come alive in a way that I never would have if I hadn't experienced being in the group.
Shuffle, delete, repeat.
Now, Camila, this is Shuffle, Delete, Repeat, where you have to choose from your own songs. Okay. So the 3 choices are
all right.
Never Be the Same.
It's you, babe, and I'm a sucker for the way that you move, babe.
Havana.
Havana, ooh, nah, nah.
Crying in the Club.
Repeat, Never Be the Same. Shuffle, Havana. Delete, Crying in the Club.
Which didn't make it onto the album.
So I guess I did delete it, didn't I?
You sort of already did.
Yeah, exactly.
You sort of already did. Although I'm sad about, do you know what song of yours I love, which
Let me
didn't
guess.
make it onto the album?
Is it Questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it.
Oh, well, I just felt like.
But it's quite dark.
And wouldn't you rather have a new song on the album?
Yeah, of course.
Because it's already on the internet.
Of course.
Plus, it is really dark, and I was just like, even making my show right now, it's hard because I feel like I live with my music, and so it's like, if I'm super happy, I just don't want to sing that song.
Well, when I'm in the audience, you're going to have to.
All right,
okay?
fine.
I'll
Deal.
make a special request.
Deal. I'll do it a cappella for you.
Of course, sort of by the time the next album comes around, there's a growing hype around you, right? You personally, because you're friends with Taylor Swift, you're doing a song with Shawn Mendes, which then becomes a big hit, and there's a lot of talk about the fact Camila might be a big solo star. So that's now happened, right? But at the time, when you were in the band, is that what you thought was going to happen? Is that what you wanted? I mean, and also that must be quite a lot of pressure as well when you are being singled out as someone who might have this big career ahead of them.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that at the time, like when I did I Know What You Did Last Summer, it was really just a one-off song that I wanted to do. So at that time, I swear I did not have plans, like when I released that song, to go solo the next year. For me, it was just like a one-off song that we wrote together that I didn't want to give to anybody else, and that his label wanted to have him used as a single. And I was like, okay. And it was off cycle, so yeah. So I didn't really think about going solo until, I can't remember when, but it was after that. And as far as the pressure for me to, I don't really listen to those kinds of things, because I feel like you just can't can't believe your own hype. That's like the most dangerous thing you can do.
That's for sure, yeah.
And I have never, if anything, I've been on the opposite side, where I've like never been like cocky about, even in my own head, like, oh, I'm this big, whatever. If anything, I've been on the opposite side, where I've been super insecure and felt like I wasn't being as good as I wanted to be. You know what I mean?
Well, you were always the very sweet member of that band.
Oh, thanks.
And actually, having spoken to a lot of people at Psycho and everything who worked with you over that period, that's what everyone has said in the industry. I mean, did it annoy you that people always asked you about your friendship with Taylor Swift and assumed that she was sort of someone who was encouraging you professionally?
It annoyed me that people said that she was encouraging me, because I know that she probably got a lot of flack for that, or a lot of negative criticism for that. And that annoys me, because I'm really protective over my friends.
Yeah.
And
you've got your own mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, nobody could ever persuade me to do anything. Like, if I don't want to do something, the whole world could be telling me, and I won't do it. And if I do, and the whole world could be telling me to not do it, and I'll do it, just because I've always been that way. So I guess it just annoyed me that people were giving her flack for that, because she's my friend, and to be honest with you, she's never, ever had anything to do with that. Like, it's so funny, because when Taylor and I talk, and whenever we hang out, we talk about love and boys, and we, like,
just strategize like
over... Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, like, our friendship is so, like... It's very, like, innocent in that way, and it's so, like, pure, and I so fiercely, like, protect my friendships with people in the industry that are like that. Like, Shawn is another one of those where... Like, yeah, we talk about the industry, but it's like at the end of the day, like, we're there for each other as people. So it annoyed me that, she got criticism for it. It doesn't annoy me when people ask about her, just because I understand that it's interesting, because she's, the biggest in the world. So I get that it's, like, interesting to people, but I don't really care. To me, she's just my friend.
The 5.
Each week, I'll be asking my guests for the 5, and these are the 5 songs that are closest to their hearts. So maybe it was like the song that made them want to become a star, or the song that reminds them of a lost family member. So let's get your 5 tracks, Camila, why they mean so much to you. What is your first choice?
All right, my first choice is Wake Me Up by Ed Sheeran.
But maybe I'm just in love when you wake me up.
So this album, Plus, I think was the first album that made me really want to start taking my love for music seriously. And it made me want to pick up a guitar, and it made me want to write about love. And before I could even write about love, it made me want to experience love. And this album was like such a beautiful, innocent moment in my life. And it was right before I auditioned for X Factor. This was when I was like probably 14, and I was like, you know, it was the summer, and I had found Ed Sheeran, I'd found One Direction, and I was just like listening to music and singing karaoke all the time, and like loved pop culture and I literally just stayed in for that whole summer and listened to this album and sang.
What is your choice 2?
Sugar We're Going Down by Fall Out Boy. I feel like I got into this like punk rock phase when I was like 17, 18. And this was after X Factor, and it was kind of me coming into my own. And it's being a teenager is so, like, even just being a teenager and experiencing these new things and, you know, and hanging out with the boy you like, it just makes you want to have that, like, 90s romantic comedy kind of love. And I felt like before that time, I mean, I'm still a goody two-shoes, and I've always been a goody two-shoes, but it made me just, like, want to go crazy.
Camila, song 3.
Song 3, I'm going to say Chan Chan by Buena Vista Social Club. That is the song that I listened to all day at the Grammys before I did my Dreamer speech. And it's the song that whenever I'm really, really nervous about something, I listen to that song and I think of where my family's come from and what my family's done for me, and just I picture just me in this just like humid, hot weather, whether it's in Cuba or in Mexico, and my family's just there and we've got all the fans on and we're listening to this song, and it just reminds me what is really important to me and why I do this.
Song 4.
Song 4, Your Song by Elton John.
And you can tell everybody this is your song.
This was one of the choices that I had for my song that I was going to audition for X Factor with. And when I told my family that I wanted to audition for X Factor, I had never sang for them before. And I was very shy, and anytime that I would always be singing in my room, and if my family would come in trying to be sneaky and film me or trying to be funny, I would be so embarrassed that I would just like hide my head and I would just like cry. I was so shy and so embarrassed. And I remember that they were like, you want to audition for X Factor? And I was like, yeah. And we were in the basement, and they were like, okay, we need to hear, like, you at least need to sing to us one time. Like, come on, this is crazy. And I was like, okay, fine. And I made them all turn around and close their eyes and not look at me. And I sang Your Song by Elton John for them in the basement.
What an amazing memory. I love that. And I love that song. And Camila, what song completes your 5?
Okay, John Mayer, The Heart of Life.
Pain throws your hope to the ground. Love turns the whole thing around.
I love that song.
Me too.
Why does that mean something to you? You love him, don't you?
I love him. And I remember one time I was just going through a really just emotional, just like hard time in my life. And I remember I was in the car with my mom, and this song came on, and I just started crying. And from that moment on, everything started to get better.
Speaking chronologically, you go solo, and I remember seeing you when you first came in afterwards, and it was a difficult time for you, wasn't it? Because it feels like you had...
Yeah. Did I look terrified?
Well, I
Probably.
think it's been interesting reading interviews from you since, and actually your manager, Roger Gold, as well, who says that at the time when you were first releasing music on your own, you just need a little bit of time to find yourself.
Right.
And actually, at that point, you probably hadn't, because it's coming out of this bubble and it's going into quite a different zone.
Absolutely.
But I mean, were you surprised by the huge amount of coverage that you leaving Fifth Harmony got?
Yeah, I think I always am, just because I'm barely on social media, and I do really
That's
normal.
very wise.
I know.
Especially Twitter.
It's, by the way, the best thing. I made that decision a year into being on X Factor, and I was like, it's literally the best thing I've ever done. And so I just don't know the magnitude of things a lot of the times, because I'll go out, I'll walk around, I'll walk around Miami in flip-flops looking horrible.
You have to. You just have to live. You
Yeah,
have to
exactly.
live.
So
even if you're in this industry, if you get too paranoid and you can't live,
No, that's
then it's very
when you start to feel
Yeah.
isolated and feel
Yeah.
not human.
Yeah.
And so I guess I knew that there would be buzz, but I didn't expect the amount of buzz, and I honestly didn't want to know. So I was like, I think the reason I knew a lot of people were talking about it is because of all the texts that I got.
Yeah, of course.
But I was so not on the internet. I didn't read any of the articles, so I was like, I totally protected my own space. And when I went into the studio, I totally stayed away from it. The only thing that made me feel nervous was I'm such a non-confrontational person. And I was just like, during interviews and stuff, when I would get asked about it, I was just like, especially because it was so recent, and I knew anything that I said, I just didn't want
going to explode.
Yeah, and I didn't want it to be read the wrong way, and I didn't want to add fuel to the fire, and I was just kind of like, that is really what made me nervous. But it was amazing as I kept going and I kept going, I would get less and less questions, and I just felt like I was really able to.
Well, the great thing is now, obviously, you've got so much of your own stuff to talk about, which we will. But there is one moment that I do have to raise with you, and I know you don't like talking about the specifics, but I just thought it must have been a hurtful moment for you when you either saw or heard about Fifth Harmony's VMA performance, because the whole world obviously knows, but there was the personification of you as a mannequin dummy or whatever, who was forcibly shoved off the back of the stage. Did you see that, and what was your reaction when you saw it?
Well, honestly, I feel like I talked about it once before, and I just instantly regretted it, because I just feel like nothing good comes out of me talking about it. And also, I genuinely, like, I feel so, I don't have any bad feelings towards them. I'm so happy in my life right now, and not just in my career, just like in my life. Like, I'm so happy, and I feel like I'm on like cloud 9. I've never felt so happy in my life, and I just don't have room or desire to have any bad feelings with people. So that's why I'm literally like, I genuinely, the reason I don't like talking about it is because I don't want to fight. I don't want any bad feelings. I genuinely wish them the best, and I just have love for them and the whole journey that we went through. Like, I feel like now that it's been like a year and a half, it's just, I totally respect the time and the memories that we had. I don't want to disrespect it.
Turn around.
This is the point in the podcast where the guest has control. So you actually have a minute now to ask as many questions to me as possible.
Love it.
And I have to tell the truth no matter what.
Love it.
So it's sort of your time to get your own back on the journalist.
Love it.
So Camila, what do you want to ask me?
All right. Do you ever feel scared?
Always.
What's the last thing you felt scared about?
Probably this interview going really badly, but
What?
it hasn't.
What is the thing you love most about yourself?
God, that's really horrible. My confidence.
What's the most important thing in the world to you?
My family, definitely.
What emotion is the most important emotion? What's your most frequent emotion?
Probably stress in this job, to be honest. That's not good, is it?
No, but it's the truth. What is your dream for yourself? What's your purpose?
Well, I would love to live a life that was less stressed. And I would also love to live a life where I could spend, at some point in my life, a little bit more time in New Zealand with my family where I'm from.
Yeah, I love that.
Your time is up.
That was good questions,
Good
though,
work.
right?
You'd be a great journalist.
Thank you. Well, I really like those answers. That was fun.
Thank you.
I love podcasts.
They're so good, aren't they?
It's so much better. Oh, my God. It's so much better than, like, what's your favorite thing to do when you're not working?
No, I know. I
Right?
love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's so much better.
Obviously, you speak about feeling happier than you've ever been,
Yeah.
Camila. And you're obviously a massive star now. And so last week, I think you were pictured with a man.
With a man.
With a man. Someone called Matthew Hussey, who's also been on a TV show, though, in America, which I don't know about. He's a matchmaker or something. So, I mean, look, I know you don't want to talk about your personal life, but I obviously have to ask.
Dan, you can't ask me two of those in a row. You're
I
going to
know.
get the same answer.
I'm getting the bad ones out of the way, Camila. But are you happy? And are you in love?
You know what? I am really, really happy. Like I said, I feel like I've never been happier in my life. But I feel like, you know, as far as that, I have always been such a private person. And the one thing that has been, I think the hardest thing for me about this industry has been letting go of that privacy. Because I feel like, you know, for my sanity and for the sanity of the people that I care about, you got to keep some things sacred. You know, you got to keep some things. I need to keep things mine for them to be special and just to protect that. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I'm very happy.
Now, obviously, the album has done incredibly well. And a lot of it really seems to have been sparked by this absolute, like, creative awakening that you had when you wrote Havana. Mm-hmm. And what really interested me is that you've said that actually, for a period, it looked like people were saying, oh, maybe we won't be able to finish the song, but you just knew deep down inside you that you had something special there. Well, how incredible that you did persevere, because obviously it's become one of the most iconic hits in the world, full stop, for the last year. Yeah,
it's crazy because that was definitely by far the hardest song to write on the album. And
you got advice from Pharrell, is that right?
Yeah, well, it took like 4 months, and our mistake was, basically, I had this week of writing sessions with my executive producer, Frank, and that was the first good idea that came out of the writing session. And we wrote like 4 songs that week, and we totally skipped over Havana. And then like 2 days after, we listened to all the ideas, and we were like, oh, this Havana chorus is like really good. And I left for 2 weeks, and when I came back, it was just like we were so stuck. We could not figure out the verses, and we just had this chorus. And we were stuck for like 3 months. We kept trying to write it. I actually have this video that I have to remember to post, but it's like me in my bathroom, like on my GarageBand, trying to finish writing the song. And it's actually incredible that it connected with people, especially knowing how much I was just like almost pulling my hair out with this song. And yeah, it got to a point where, like, I remember my mom and my manager were like, don't even work on Havana anymore, because we don't even have a song. Like, that's not even a song. That's 15 seconds of a song. And yeah, I'd lost hope for a while. And actually, on my birthday, I worked with Pharrell. I went to the studio with Pharrell, and Frank was there, and we were like, we want to play you this song. So we played him the chorus of Havana, and we were like, we don't know what to do with we tried so many things. Can you help us? And so I think just being like in that environment and feeling that inspiration from that just creative energy that's like beaming from him, you know, and something about just like being there with him. We were just on the couch and he started singing something and then I started singing something and we figured out the words in like 20 minutes. And it was my birthday. So I kept telling him, I was like, this is my birthday. Like if we finish this song, it's my birthday present. So actually March 3rd would be the anniversary of Havana.
First.
Your first pet?
Ringo. He was a Labrador and he was just gorgeous and an angel dog. He was the sweetest dog ever.
Your first job?
Singer.
First school?
Can't remember, but my second one was Pinecrest.
First love?
I'll let you know.
First funeral?
Hasn't happened yet.
That's so lucky. That's
I know.
good. First kiss?
I was 16 and I almost fainted.
I think there was something as well about you obviously being very authentic with where you wanted to go with music. And a lot of people were, I guess, surprised to learn about your Cuban roots in this country, because obviously you live in Miami. Yep. I think you were 7, is that right?
Yeah,
when you moved from Cuba
Yep.
to America.
Yeah.
And obviously that has shaped to a huge degree who you are. And so as a result, at the Grammys, you tackled this hot potato political issue in the United States at the moment of the Dreamers. That is what your generation, I guess, of people who came to America were called.
Right.
It's obviously something that you feel incredibly passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just feel like it just feels so cruel and unfair for these kids to suddenly live under this anxiety that they're going to be deported to a country that they don't even remember, to a home they don't have, to a language that they could have forgotten by now.
Because these are people who are in America officially, illegally.
Yeah.
Officially.
Yeah. And they came when their parents brought them when they were like 6 years old. So they're basically, I mean, they're like adults now that are either about to be done with college or working in real jobs. And they're like law-abiding people. So it just feels like in their case specifically, it's like these people have already built their lives here. They're already a part of the country. So it just feels so cruel to all of a sudden literally make them homeless, you know? So, and obviously I came over with my mom when I was 6 years old, and my dad is Mexican. I'm Cuban Mexican. So it just feels like my journey and the journey of the Dreamers and their families is exactly the same. So I feel it's like, I don't know, I feel it's unfair because I could have been in exactly the same position and there's no reason why it's just a small little thread of circumstance that makes the difference. And I'm grateful, but at the same time, it just feels like I can't really look away while that's happening.
Last.
What was the last time you felt scared?
Oh my God. So yesterday, I went into my room and I was trying to take a nap and I wanted to just do something sweet for myself. And I had these candles and I lit these candles. And the whole time, I don't know if I was, because I didn't sleep last night at all either. And I lit these candles and I was so paranoid that the room was like gonna set on fire that I just kept like looking over to see if the room was on fire yet. Because by the way, if that were to happen to anybody, it would be me.
So it had the opposite of the desired effect.
Yeah, exactly, and not soothing.
Your last meal?
My last meal was Nobu sushi.
Jealous. Last person you spoke to on the phone?
I can't say.
Last person you met who made you feel nervous?
Bono.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And finally, the last time you used public transport? And that is not a private jet, okay? Like one of my previous guests has tried to suggest.
I wouldn't want a private jet. I took one time and it was so scary. Me and my manager almost vomited.
Well, it's also not a first-class flight either. I mean, like the tube, a bus.
I actually
train.
really want to take the tube in London. Because I like subways. There's something really cool about them.
You've got to do it.
I know, I do.
And just finally, I knew that you had confidence with this album, Camila, when you turned down a song by Ed Sheeran or a song that you'd worked on together at least? Because obviously, as you spoke about, he's one of your huge musical idols.
Yeah.
So he said that now he might want to give this song that you guys both worked on to Little Mix.
Yeah.
Had you heard about that idea?
I did, yeah. I think that's awesome. I could totally see them singing it too.
And you want to work with him on potentially like a Spanish-themed song next?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we were talking about if we did a song together with this Spanish artist. His name's Alejandro Sanz. And he's honestly just one of the greatest in the world. Like, his lyrics he's the best lyricist in my opinion. And we were talking about doing a song, me, him, and Alejandro, me, Ed, and Alejandro. So that would be really amazing. And I would just love to work on anything with him. I named one of his songs. We were talking about songs that have, shaped my life. And he has so many of those songs that have played like a big part in my life. And he's one of my musical inspirations, and he knows that. And now I'm so happy that he's become like a really close friend of mine. And I just love him. I love to hang out with him.
Is this your life?
Number 1, you have a fear of sharks in the ocean.
True.
Number 2, you can't ride a bicycle without stabilizers.
True.
Same as me. Number 3,
Nice.
Michelle Obama said Havana was one of her favorite songs in 2017.
False, Barack.
Correct. 4, you were the 5th artist in US chart history to have your debut single and album in the number 1 chart positions at the same time.
False.
It's false. You were the 3rd after Beyonce in 2003 and
What?
Britney Spears in 1999, so it's even better.
What?
Number
I thought
5, you
were
ran a
gonna say
Twitter fan account for 5 Seconds of Summer.
that would be funny. No, false.
It was One Direction.
Yeah.
Number 6, you ripped your trousers doing a squat while performing at Madison Square Garden.
This is unfortunately true.
Number 7, one time you were straightening your hair and your hair straightener's set on fire.
False, blow dryer.
Correct. Number 8, you love the
Traumatizing.
continuity announcements on British television.
Coming up next on ITV2, that is true. Thank you.
Number 9, you dressed as a banana for Taylor Swift's Halloween party.
False, fat grandma.
Yeah, a grandma who sat on a cat.
Yes.
Number 10, your grandma once tweeted your mum's phone number.
True. Love you though, mommy.
Number 11, you kissed Nick Jonas on New Year's Eve.
True, and it was spicy.
Well, I was going to say false. You almost kissed.
No, I'm kidding,
So
no.
we have a scoop.
It was totally false. I'm a loser.
Number 12, you didn't make it into the school choir in 4th grade.
True.
13, you've never read a Harry Potter book.
False.
Yeah, you love Harry Potter
Yeah, I
and
do.
reading.
Yes.
And 14, if you weren't a singer, you wanted to be a dentist.
You know what? False. I know I said that, but I must have not gotten any sleep because I can't remember me wanting to be a dentist. I don't know what. Maybe I did because I do remember when I was a kid, people would ask me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and I didn't want to say singer, so I just didn't know. So I guess I would just switch. I probably said a lot of things: doctor, chiropractor, construction
Who would
worker.
want to be a dentist? Not me.
Not me either.
Worst
I hate
job in
that
the
sound,
world.
and I hate that little.
Me too. Poor dentist. Sorry if you're a dentist, but it's,
We love you though.
it's
We
not
respect
fun.
you, and we need you.
Camila, thank you
Thanks,
for
Dan.
being in the pod. Thank you for taking all of my questions, even the tough ones.
All good.
And it is amazing to see how far you have come.
Thanks, Dan.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
I have to say, that episode was a little bit different to my interview with Fifth Harmony last year, the band that Camila was previously in. Obviously, you could tell she is not comfortable talking about her time in that girl band either. But there was a big difference in terms of how she answered the question, how she actually explained why she didn't want to go into the ins and outs of it. If you don't know the podcast that I'm talking about, last year I interviewed Fifth Harmony and obviously had to ask them about Camila because she had just left the band and it all went horribly wrong. You can listen to that actually if you subscribe to the podcast and look through all of my back catalogue. And we've got so many huge name interviews actually. So, you know, you can hear from Take That and Liam Payne, Pink, Shania Twain. Loads and loads of big A-list interviews are just sitting there for free, so you just need to subscribe to the Dan Wootton Interview, and you can do that on wherever you happen to listen to your podcast, but including Apple Music and iTunes, which is where a lot of people get us. I also love to hear your feedback as well, and our last interview of 2017 was with a certain Mr. Robbie Williams at his house in London, and he really opened up about his mental health issues in the past and his battles with health and getting on the right track, really. And I just adore Robbie. He is everything that a pop star should be, because you know what, we want people who are famous who are very flawed but are also prepared to talk about those flaws so openly, and my goodness, Robbie does that. And there was a lot of feedback on that note, actually. So Amanda Harbin, she wrote to me to say, I know exactly how he feels, as I feel the same at times. It's not about not being happy. Depression is too hard to put into words, as sometimes it has no rhyme or reason. It just messes with your thoughts. It's good to know it can happen to anyone, no matter how good their life may seem. He is lucky to have a lovely wife and family to support him. Absolutely. Ryan Anthony Morsky, he said on Facebook, I love Robbie even more knowing he went through similar issues to myself, as I suffer from anxiety and depression. At one point, I got so bad I couldn't even leave the house. And Ryan, thank you for sharing that. It must make you feel so much better to know that Roy Williams didn't want to leave the house. You know, this is not something that is only affecting you. Anyone can feel that, and it's about how you deal with that. And finally, Tracy Roberts said, a huge Robbie fan, but I don't think he will ever be truly happy. And Tracy is responding to the fact that I said